What's up, guys? I couldn't wait. I had to start tearing into this thing. I got the wheels off, I've got one axle pulled, and then I realized I probably should be filming this. So today I am hoping to get the engine out. I did some reading, and the pilot bearing on a manual 1.8T is different than the pilot bearing off an automatic 1.8T, which that one came out of an automatic Audi. The pilot bearing out of a 2.8 will go in there and work, but I have to cut it down a little bit. So I'm interested to see, once I get this out, if that's going to work, because that's going to be awesome. I can actually document that and how it's done for, everybody trying to manual swap these engines, because a 1.8T with an automatic transmission is boring as it gets. This poor thing's been sitting for a while. You can tell I mowed my lawn around it probably 800 times while it sat there. This should be pretty straightforward, I think. It should come right out. Axles, tranny mount, engine mounts, unplug wires. Let's see how it goes. All right, guys, we did it. Engine bay doesn't look horrible. Getting to the exhaust bolts on this car is insanely hard. Usually you can just get up in there with a long extension and buzz them off. Those are at a weird angle. You can't get to them. But this is the engine. She's off. Nothing too spectacular. What I see here is a lot of good parts that I will use. Clutch didn't look bad. You can see the flywheel was a little, that's not horrible. I would just clean that up. This is the clutch here. Doesn't look horrible. I mean, it still had pretty good amount of life left in it, to be honest. And again, that's got some, heat marks and nothing horrible. But obviously I can't. What kind is this? Oh, it might be OEM clutch. Nice. So I need recommendations. What's a good clutch? I don't want to go stage 4 or just crazy. I want something that's going to hold about 300 horsepower and be happy with it and last. And I'll be good with that. I think what I'm going to do is clean up this engine bay. And again, I probably gotta pop this off. I've got to look at that pilot bearing. Actually, let's look at those real quick. We can see there it's got a little baby pilot bearing for the shaft. On the automatic motors, this is what you got. So this little piece comes out. There's guys that throw grease in there and then hammer in a pick and it pushes it out. There's plenty of ways to get that out. But we've got to take that out. I can either pay 90 bucks for the one that goes in there, or we can experiment and see about the VR6 pilot bearing, see if that goes in there. Man, this motor is actually pretty clean. Look at that cloth around there. It's not even oily. All right, so research time. Actually working on these things and figuring out what bolts have to come out and what needs to be done to get the engine out and all that. It's frustrating sometimes, but that's the easy part. The hard part is figuring out part numbers, what you need, the right stuff, especially when you're doing swaps and, you know, off the wall things, which seems to be the only thing I find myself getting into. So you got to be able to sift the interwebs. I darn sure want to see if the pilot bearing in the 2.8 will work, because I don't want to spend $90 on a little machined piece. So here we are. We've got the engine out. We've got the transmission on the floor. It looks good. It has always shifted good. This arm right here worried me because I could not get the shift linkage to slide off this shaft. And I was kind of pulling pretty hard. I was worried about what I was doing inside here. Still moves pretty good, but I finally ended up getting it. I clamped something on the bar and then used a pry bar to pry it off. Worked pretty good. I'm ditching those. Those are annoying. It's crazy how small these transmissions are though. All right guys, with that being said, I have to go do some research, figure some things out. Remember to subscribe if you want to see what we end up doing with this thing. I showed you in the last video, we've got obviously this motor, we've got wheels, I've got a pile of parts at the house, we're painting it. There is a Passat at the junkyard with black leather seats. Actually, let's look at ours. See, if I did black leather seats, I feel like it would match because it's got the cream interior with a black dash. That might not look bad. Have to price those out. It wouldn't be hard to swap out the driver's, passenger, and back seat. We got parts back here. This thing, man. Again, remember to subscribe. Please like the videos. That helps immensely. I appreciate you watching to this point. I'm going to throw this in the Passat playlist. And if you want, if you're new, go back to the beginning of the playlist and watch the videos up until now. You'll see when we picked this thing up for $1,000, it was completely bone stock, 400,000 mile car. And my son put coilovers on it himself at 16 years old. And him and I did a lot of work to this thing. We enjoyed this car. So part of that is why I don't really want to sell it. It's got a lot of sentimental value to me. Just working on it with my boys, but it is what it is. I got to get out of here. It's getting late, Saturday evening. I'm gonna clean up, be checking for the next video. Love you guys, peace. I couldn't get out of here without showing you guys what the wheels are gonna look like. They are tight. I had a 99 A4 and I bought some WCI MD10s, which are the exact same spec as this. And there's not much room. On my Audi, I actually did some clearancing right here, and then I just run, you know, stretch tires, and it fit perfectly. But it's not rubbing right now, but I feel like it will if it gets a little bit of movement in it. So we'll clearance that. Look at these things. Oh goodness. I think they're gonna look amazing on there. Once we lower it a little bit, the lip should stick out just a little bit. It's gonna look good. Cannot wait. I'm already looking into swapping a bunch of these parts over. That's an 04, that's a 2000. They are the 06A blocks, so they should be pretty much the same. Some of my accessories were on the other side, stuff like that. So we got to flip those around. I got to get that fan on there. That had electric fans, stuff like that. But be looking for another video. Peace out again.